Work hard in silence and let the success be your noise. And that's what we were trying to do in this particular program, the Smart Current Affairs program for the Mains 2024. With more than 25 questions coming directly from our classes and our handouts from the current affairs section, I'm here to express my deep gratitude and also to express the feeling of joy and happiness that the team is feeling over here. So, welcome everyone. I am Abhinav. I am the current affairs faculty over here. I take a few subjects in this particular current affairs program along with the other esteemed faculties of the institute like your favorite Jayan sir. So, over here we are today to discuss about the components of this particular program, what we could achieve in the mains examination, right? What we are trying to do, what is our vision, and also I would like to invite you to the open session which is happening on the 1st of October. So all of you are invited to that open session where we are unfolding the magic of current affairs. But in this particular section, I especially want to talk about the pillars of this particular program through various examples from the mains which was recently held, right? Majorly, I want to talk about the three things that we are trying to achieve in this particular program. The first, of course, we are trying to hit the exact topic which can be asked in the examination. Just like anyone else, we are also trying to do that. But the more important part is that we are also trying to hit the exact dimension, the exact question which can be asked from that particular topic. So I'll show you with respect to certain examples how we could achieve that. The second is that we want to make this program a very holistic program. We don't want the students to fend for resources in other areas. We want to empower the students completely with respect to the content, with respect to data points, with respect to other additional topics. So I'll show you how by giving certain extra handouts, certain extra content, we have achieved that as well. And the third is that in these classes and through the handouts, we try to empower the students. We don't want them to be dependent on us completely. We want them to read well, we want them to write well, and therefore to think well. Right, so I'll give you through certain examples, I'll show you how in this particular program, we were trying to not just give you the content, not just to explain you the content, but also to empower you in terms of how to think. Right, so let's take up this particular program. I'm not going to show all the questions which have come. I'm not going to bore you with all those questions. But yes, through certain examples, I'm trying to show you what are the various elements and the vision of the program that we are having over here, the Smart Current Affairs program, and with the new batch which we are going to launch on 1st of October. So let's take up the first question which came up in this year's UPSC examination. This question is on the Public Examination Prevention of Unfair Means Act, right? So this question was in news because of the recent controversies of the NEET examination, the UGC NET examination, and various other examinations across the country which were facing this problem of cheating, right? So we picked up this theme, we could analyze, we could understand that yes, this question can be important, this topic can be important from the exams perspective, and let's see what exactly we discussed in the class. So each and every dimension of this question was discussed in the class and was there in the handout as well. Let's have a look. So this is just a snippet, just a screenshot of the various handouts that we give. Right, so have a look at it. We have discussed the features of the act, which is exactly what is asked in the question. We have discussed the various contexts. We have discussed the causes of the paper leak. We gave various data points, various case studies. In fact, I remember in the class we also discussed the models of various other countries as well. Right, so it was a very comprehensive discussion on this particular topic with respect to cheating, with respect to the changing exam pattern in the class, and therefore we could hit the exact topic, and that's what makes me happy, right? So this is where the skill, this is where the quality, or this is where the X factor of this program comes in. We are not just able to exactly pinpoint the topic which might come in the examination, but we are also understanding that what kind of dimensions, what kind of questions can be asked from this particular topic. Let's have another example. Let's take a look at another example. Now, this is the question out of all the list, out of all the questions which have matched in the mains examination. This is the question which makes me really happy. Now, this question is on the disaster resilience. It has multiple components in the question. For example, how it is determined, what are the various elements of resilience, right? And also mention the Sendai framework. So, I'll tell you a short story with respect to this particular question. So we have a team over here which discusses everything about what kind of questions can be asked in the current affairs, in the mains examination, what is the trend of UPSC and everything. We have a very solid team over here. So when we were discussing disaster related topics, see, UPSC could have asked multiple questions on disaster. They could have asked the question on heat waves. They could have asked the question on crowd-based disaster. They could have asked the question on, let's say, fire incidents, the urban fire, forest fire. Lot of questions, lot of topics were there in the news, right? But what did UPSC ask? UPSC asked disaster resilience. So actually, when we were discussing, so one of our team members, she said that, sir, I think we need to have this particular topic in the classes and for the handouts. So the team was divided. No, sir, I think we should cover more disasters. We can, because so many disasters are in news. And some were like, sir, we should discuss this particular topic in the class. Now, you have to understand that there is a limitation, right? We have to choose the most important topic, and that is where the skill comes in. We have to understand which topic UPSC can ask, right? And that's where we trusted the team member, and that's what I want to tell you. The environment over here in the team is really good. We respect each other, we have confidence on each other, and therefore I decided ki yes, let's go for this particular topic. And I thank to that particular team member that this particular topic, we took it really comprehensively in the class, right? And we discussed everything about it. And the most important beauty of this particular topic was we discussed each and every component which was asked in the question. So we discussed about the approach to infrastructure resilience, disaster resilience. What are the various elements of it? Right. We discussed about the recent context. What is the need of disaster resilience? Look at this. Look at this particular thing. We discussed about the working of the entire disaster resilience structure. What is the main thing which is required? What are the various components of it? So everything which was asked in the question was discussed in the class, was given in the handout along with some extra examples. So that is the X factor of our handouts, is that we not just give you the content. We give you the content in the most organized manner. We give you the content in the most holistic manner. We give you examples, we give you data points, we give you case studies, so that you don't have to depend on any other thing for your current affairs. See, current affairs is an ocean, right? There are so many sources, and it has become a subject in itself, isn't it? So that is why we came up with this particular idea that we will make such kind of handouts which will be very comprehensive, very crisp, and will give the most important points which are important for the examination. So out of all the questions, this question makes me the most happy because we trusted our team member and we got this question in the examination. Let's have a look at this particular question. The next question is on labor codes, right? And I am told that in the classes a very extensive discussion happened on the labor codes. Let's have a look that it was covered in the handout. See, look at it over here. Labor codes is very clearly mentioned, and even the faculty, your favorite Jayan sir, discussed it in a very comprehensive manner, that what are labor codes, what are its merits, what are its demerits, what is the present status. All of that was completely covered in the examination, in the classes as well. So that is the beauty of the classes, right? That you can have comprehensive understanding, you can have comprehensive discussion which goes deeper into your mind, right? So that's what we are presenting it over here. Let's have a look at another question. This question is on irrigation, right, which UPSC asked, and again this question was also covered exactly in the classes. Let's have a look at this handout, completely covering the topic of irrigation, completely covering the topic of agriculture, and having the most advanced and comprehensive discussion on these topics. So if you look at the question, dealing with the first part of the question was really easy. What are the major challenges faced by the irrigation system? Fine. Everyone who is a serious student would definitely read about it. But dealing with the second topic, what are the measures taken by the government for efficient irrigation management? What else can be done to improve irrigation in the country? those things are the current affairs aspect. And there comes the importance of this particular program, and that's what was discussed in the classes comprehensively. Let's have a look at this particular question. Now, this particular question makes me happy again, because this is a very I think it's a very innovative kind of a question from UPSC, because they have asked how West is looking at India as an alternative to what? Alternative to China in terms of their supply chain management. Now, I'm being told that when your IR faculty was discussing about these particular topics of India-US relationship, so they discussed that what is the reason that India-US relations and the relations of India with other Western countries is growing steadily and growing really fast in the past years. So the reason is that, and this was very comprehensively discussed in the classes as well, that West and especially US and other Western countries are looking at India as an alternative to China. And that is what is the beauty of the classes, that even if you are discussing about specific topics, right, the theme of the topic can be expanded in the classes to cover everything which UPSC can ask. Right, and that is where these classes, these handouts come handy. Right, let's have a look at another very interesting example. Now, this is an example, this is a question which I've taken from GS4, the ethics paper. Now, usually you do not look for current affairs questions in the ethics paper, right? But why I've taken this particular question is that, so this question is on artificial intelligence and what are the ethical issues in using AI in administration for making the decisions, right? So actually we took this topic of artificial intelligence in the classes, right? And we discussed various dimensions of AI in the classes. For example, the application of AI in education, the application of AI in the healthcare sector, the application of AI in the cyber warfare sector, cyber security, all those dimensions we discussed, because that is what usually we would predict the UPSC to ask question. But there was a discussion also, and I took up this topic in the class, about AI's regulation. So there is this thing going on in the world about regulating the AI. And there we discussed the various ethical principles which should guide AI. Right, we discussed about the Niti Aayog's recommendation. We discussed about the recommendation of various international organizations and conferences on how to regulate AI and what are the ethical issues with respect to AI. And you can see it over here. We have discussed that in the handouts as well. We have mentioned what are the challenges coming in for AI, what are the challenges with respect to AI, and we discussed the ethical dilemmas and the ethical challenges as well. We gave you multiple examples as well with respect to this particular topic. All right, and that is where the beauty of the classes and the beauty of the handout comes in. That is where the beauty of this program comes in, and that's what makes us happy, that we could help the students, right, in approaching the examination and in catching the exact topic and the exact dimensions with respect to the mains examination. Okay, let's take up another question, and I've taken another question from the ethics paper again. Again, ethics is not a paper where you usually look for current affairs reflections. But again, I've taken this particular paper, and I very fondly remember, very beautifully I remember when we were discussing this topic in the class. So this topic is nothing but global warming, that is climate change, right? And the interaction with human and the interaction with the economy and other dimensions. So we have basically two broad aims to fulfill. On one side, we have to fulfill our energy demands, and on the other side, we have to fulfill our climate goals. So this year's economic survey, there were two chapters with respect to climate change and environment. Chapter number 6 and chapter number 13. Okay, so when we were discussing about this particular chapter number 13 specifically, so there were so many ethical principles which were given in economic survey, which should be applied directly to the environment sector, right? So you must have heard about the Mission Life, which Prime Minister Modi, our respected Prime Minister Modi has launched it, right? Mission Life, which is lifestyle for environment. So I discussed in the class that yeah, these are the principles which economic survey has given, which have to be applied in the domain of environment. And I told them probably this question will not come in GS 1, 2, 3. It might come in GS 4. So At that point of time, it was just a reflection, just a extrapolation that maybe this question can be asked in GS4, and there it is. UPSC has asked this question in GS4. I'm really happy that we discussed the entire question, everything about it in the classes, right? So that's what, again, that's what is helping the students whosoever has joined this particular program. It must have helped them solve this particular question with great ease. All right, so let's take up another question. Now in this question, I very fondly remember that when we were taking the discussion on the topic of women-led development. All right, so again, this particular theme of women-led development, you must be knowing, is in news quite a lot. It was discussed in G20, and even there was a news article recently only, women-led development in Rajya Sabha, right? So when we were discussing this particular topic, we discussed about multiple dimensions of this topic, that what is the status of women in the economy, the female labor force participation rate, right? What are the issues which women are facing, women in technology, all those kind of aspects we discussed. But we also discussed one very beautiful aspect of what is exactly the importance of women in policy making. Why should we need women in policy making? What is the role of women in policy making? And what is the importance of women? And that is where I remember very fondly a very interesting debate happened with respect to it, right? And the class was almost divided into two sections in which they were trying to discuss whether women should take up the leadership role or not. So ultimately, obviously, we came to the conclusion that yes, women do have a very important role to play. But what I'm trying to say is that this particular question, which asks what is the importance to take gender concerns while making program designs and implementation, was very beautifully discussed in the class, right? And in fact, it reflects in the handouts as well. Just have a look at it. Why India is emphasizing on the women-led development? What are the impacts of women-led development in various sectors? So each and everything was there in the class, and we also discussed it through the handouts. So that's what makes us happy that we could help the students with respect to these particular question as well. Let's take up another question. Now in this question, I would like to tell you, so the first pillar of our program was that we were trying to hit the exact topic, we were trying to hit the exact dimension. Now I told you that because we cannot overburden the students with the classes, we do give certain extra handouts, certain extra material, so that they can read it on their own and they do not have to look for other resources. Now this is the topic, this is the question which is the example of that particular thing. So this question is a very simple one on the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, and just have a look at the handout. The handout on exact topic was given to the students, and this is what makes the program holistic in nature, right? So everything which was asked in the question is discussed over here. So the question is asking what are the various salient features and the context of this Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Just look at what we have discussed in the handout. We have discussed the various features and the context in which this particular, in the background in which this particular act has come up, right? So that is the importance of the class, that is the importance or the X factor of the program that we are talking about. Another question, this question is with respect to terrorism. Now it's very easy for any institute to catch this particular theme of terrorism because of lot of attacks which were happening in the Jammu and Kashmir area, but it was difficult to catch the dimension of terrorism, which is counter-terrorism. So what has UPSC asked? UPSC has not asked the question on terrorism. It has asked the question on the effectiveness of CTC, which is the Counter-Terrorism Committee, right? So this is where the skill comes in. Are you able to pinpoint the exact dimension or the exact question which can be asked from that particular topic? And that is where our team comes in, and it got the exact dimension. Just have a look at this particular handout, the snippet, the screenshot of the handout. Just have a look. We talked about the counter-terrorism strategies, right? We talked about it. We specifically focused on counter-terrorism, and we also talked about what are the issues with the counter-terrorism strategy, or what are the issues faced in tackling this problem of terrorism, which was exactly the demand of the question. So that's where we come in. That's where the hard work of the team pays off. And that's what is making us happy that we could help the students in the mains examination. Again, this particular question very beautifully addressed the exact topic. So social media and how it is acting as a security challenge. Just have a look at this. Now just have a look at the handout that we gave. The handout was on exactly the same topic, which is social media and its security implication. And whatever was asked in the question was everything covered in this particular handout, along with multiple examples with respect to the topic. Right. So in the classes, we discuss several topics in very comprehensive manner. We are able to catch even those themes which is not predictable, right, which is very difficult to catch, right. Even those things are discussed in the classes. And then we also give extra handouts so that the students do not feel that they need anything more than this particular classes, right. So that is where this particular program comes in. Let's have a look at another question. Now this particular question is with respect to Maldives. Again, here comes the importance of classes, right. So in the classes, we discussed about India's position, and I was told that the IR faculty discussed about India's position in the present geostrategic dimension, right. And there Maldives as a topic was discussed, right. So it's very important that here comes the importance of classes, that when you discuss in the classes, multiple themes comes up, right. And from those themes we are seeing that UPSC has asked a lot of questions. Let's take another question. Now this question I remember very beautifully when I was discussing in the class. This question is on public healthcare system, and specifically on the aspect of marketization, right. Now everyone would have probably predicted, or this is the theme which is directly given in your syllabus, health, right. So definitely one question from the health is definitely expected, but the question would come from marketization of the health system is something which requires a skill to decipher, right. And that is where our classes came in. Now when we were discussing this topic of health, we discussed about right to health, we discussed about universal health coverage, we discussed about One Health concept. But when I was discussing the universal health coverage, I also discussed about the various models across the world of UHC. And we saw in that particular discussion that how private sector is involved in one or the other manner in various countries. So the contribution or the role of private sector varies across the country. And then we saw the Indian model. What is India's model? Which is the Ayushman Bharat scheme. So we compared the world's model with the India's model, and we saw how private sector plays a role across these countries. And that is what is the essence of this particular question. So we discussed about this aspect of marketization or the privatization of healthcare, which came up directly in the UPSC's mains examination. That's what is the beauty of the program. Another question. So these three questions are directly from the theme of water pollution, water scarcity, groundwater extraction, all those questions, right? And I remember when we were discussing about this particular topic of water, we did discuss about water pollution. We did discuss about, the water levels going down in the Gangetic Plain, and we did discuss about the water scarcity issues in India, right? And using those kind of things, we made the students think what is going to be the impact. So the question is not, now have a look at it, the question is not completely on water pollution, but it is on various aspects of it. For example, that how the depleting groundwater, how the groundwater potential of Gangetic Plain, which is on serious decline, is affecting the food security of India. So in the classes, that is how we empower you. That is how we help you think in the classes, that what could be the implication, right? What could be the impact of it? What are the consequences of it? So all those things were discussed in the classes, and that's what make this particular program a unique program. And it simply makes us happy that we could help the students with respect to their mains preparation. So I can go on, the list is very long. I'm not going to bore you with all those questions, right? a lot of other questions could be solved from the handouts and the classes that we had. The only point I'm standing over here and I'm discussing is to showcase that what we are trying to discuss in this particular program, what we are trying to achieve, and in this first year of this program being launched, what have we achieved with respect to the mains paper. So that's there in front of you with certain examples of what we could do. Now I would like to invite you to the open session which is happening on the 1st of October, right? So for those who would have joined the program till that point of time, they can definitely come offline and sit in the classes and experience the class. But for those who are still thinking about whether to join the program or not, even you guys are welcome to this particular open session. It is open for all. For those who would not have joined by that point of time, you would be allowed to enter the classes through the online mode. So for you, the online open session would be there. And for those who have joined the classes, and we are launching a batch on 1st of October, for them, you can come to the classes, most welcome, and experience the magic unfold. So we'll see you in this particular open session. Work hard in silence and let the success be your noise is the theorem that even you should follow. Even we are following it. Next time will come even better. We'll try to help you even more than this, right? So I wish you all the best. To all the friends, to all the students, I wish you all the best for your studies, and see you in the open session. All the best.